Yay, I think we're live. Let's see. Hey, Jamie. Okay, I think everything is set up and we're live. Oh, good. Thank you for that sound check, Jamie. Got one more thing to turn on, actually off. Let's see. Yay, I think we're good to go. All right, got a few people in here. I am going to play the intro and we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you, Sue. Hi, Gerald. All right. Well, today we are going to be doing some 4th of July themed things. And guys, don't pay attention to this one because this was my mock-up, my test, and everything else. So I did stuff to it that I probably shouldn't have done to it, just testing to see how it looked. And I didn't like my Nuvo drops on there, especially after I touched them and smushed them a little bit before they were dry. But this turned out really, really, really cute before I messed it up with Nuvo drops. So we're going to go through how that's designed, how to upcycle your Cricut vinyl rolls and put this together. Because it's a little more technical than you think, because this is weighted, so if you're using it outside, it won't blow off your table. So with that being said, hi Marianne. That being said, thank you to all my Patreon and Ko-fi supporters. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you to our moderators. We couldn't do this without them. And this video will be available for playback. Guys, if you want this file instead of creating your own, this is uploaded for the supporters in craftingwithapril.co. And it is there ready for you. If you want to just do one-time support for $5 on Ko-fi, you can do that if you do it before midnight tonight, and you can get this file, or you can create your own. This is a pretty simple file, either way that you want to do that. And what else? Let's see. Oh, if you wait until after midnight, then you would have to be monthly to get the file. Hi, Susan. So let's pop over to Design Space and go in. Well, actually, let's start here. I think I used all of my rolls that I had empty, but that's okay. I've got a piece here. This is one of the Cricut vinyl rolls. It still has the sticky tape on the outside, and I didn't even worry with that. You can get it off there, or you can just stick a piece of tape over it or paper over it. It's probably not going to show. This was on the end that I cut off, so I didn't care. But the way that I did this, guys, is I got a piece of my washi tape, and it doesn't matter. Use something that you're not going to use. And measure how big you want or how tall, because this is totally up to you. You can do this and measure and get your height of all of your tubes. Now I did one without cutting it. I wanted one that was a 12-inch, so I didn't cut that at all, and that is just a standard Cricut roll. Okay, so we have that one. Then my next size I did, in case you guys want these measurements, at 9.5 inches. Okay, then I did one at, this one looks like 7.25 inches. And then I did a fourth one at 6 inches. Now you can do just 3 if you want to do just 3, or you can do 4 like I did. Totally up to you on how you want to do that. But what I did was I went around and I took my pencil and I just did like a dot, a dot, a dot, so that I knew where I was going to cut it. So if I was going to cut this one at 2 inches, I would put it here, and then I would do my dots at 2 inches around as I rolled it on my mat, just to mark it. And then what I did is I used my washi tape to line up under those dots and go around the tube, so that I would know I had it on there straight. So I'm just using this for an example, so I'm going to lose this part of the tube, but that's okay. I don't need it for anything else. Then I took my, because I had my pencil marks there and I have my washi tape. This one is white. You want to use something that's going to show up on your tube, of course. Then I just took my True Control knife and went along the edge, top edge of that washi tape. And then I just popped it in there, and then I walked it around, staying on the top edge of that washi tape. Now I'm not taking my time here, but you want to take your time and cut it off straight. If it's a whole tube and you've got a flat edge, don't worry if it's exactly perfect. It's going to be really hard to do to get it exactly perfect. So if you're off a little bit and it's off, you can tell just by pressing it down. I just took my scissors, and any little high spot I had, I just cut that off. Okay, so that's all I did. Just kind of evened it up, made sure that it would sit straight, and it does. So I'm good. So if this is the size that I wanted, I would be good with those. Okay, and then I just removed my washi tape. Somehow I did. It only sticks when you don't want it to. There you go. So then I just removed my washi tape. These come, as you know, in the craft color, and some of them are white. And if you look into, well, I can't look into that one now because I already pre-did some of these. If you look down inside, most of them will let you know by looking inside if you have your vinyl on there. You don't have to unroll your vinyl if it's white or if it's the craft paper color. If you're doing light colors like the silver, or you're doing white, your white ones are best for that if you can manage to do that. And use your craft color for your darker colors, because they're going to cover easier with your darker colors. That being said, I used Liquitex is what I used for mine, and acrylic. This is the Fine Touch. I don't know where I got these, honestly. I think they all came from Michael's. I want to say Michael's, but they're 2 different tubes. I don't know if there's a difference in them. I don't think that there is, but that's what I used. And I know that those colors don't look the same, and that's because I was going for a more vintage feel for mine. Hi, Peggy. Hi, Vicky. So I had to come up with a way to, because I didn't want to go out and buy paint. I wanted to use what I had because I was upcycling. And so I had some other paints on hand. This is an airbrush color. And I really didn't want to use that, but I did. Because it was a color that I had that would deepen this. And then I had black. And so I'm just going to show you guys really quick how I painted these by doing just one of these little short sections. We're not going to do the whole thing, but my silver one was on a white tube, and I still painted it a coat of white on there. No, I'm sorry, this was a craft board color because I didn't realize that I had cut my wrong size from my white ones. So I had to paint this one white before I did the silver. So that's why I say if you can save your white tubes for your lighter colors, then you can skip that step. But if your color is not going to coat well, and you can test it to see if it's not going to coat well, then you may need to paint it white or paint it a dark color underneath like black to get that color to take on it. So I wanted a vintage look, so I'm just going to show you guys with this little bit of red here. I'm just going to put a tiny bit. I think for my largest tube, I used maybe 2 tablespoons of the paint altogether to paint the whole thing. So you don't need a ton. Just saying, you're not going to need a ton. And then because this was too bright of a red for a vintage look, I just dripped a little bit of black, and I don't want to get too much here. Just a dot. And you can keep adding until you get a consistent color of what you want. I've lost my stick. And then I just mix them together. And if you've got too much black, you're just going to add a little more red. If you've got too much, if it's still too bright of a red, you're just going to add a little bit more black until you get that color you want. I am going to say if you mix paint, mix enough to have extra, because if you don't, you're not going to have enough, and then you're not going to be able to match your color, okay? Just saying. I'll rinse that off. So you can see how that darkened up that paint and gave it a more of a vintage feel. And I lost my brush. So what I did at that point, I have just my tube. I stuck my fingers in there until my fingers started to cramp, and then I just placed it on a piece of PVC that I had and stuck my finger in there so that I didn't have 2 fingers in there, because it makes my hands draw up and cramp when I do that. But I just got some paint on there, and I just started brushing, okay? And by the time that I got around where I started was already dry, so I did my second coat. You don't want to use a really wet paint when you do this, because if you do something that's really, really wet, really thin, you know what's going to happen. You're painting paper. Just remember that. And see, this would be a little bit, to me, on the purple side. It needs a little bit more black in it for my liking, but we're just going to, I'm just showing you guys how to do this. I'm not paying attention to if I've got the color right or not. Make sure you got your color right, and just paint all the way around. And then on my top edge, that's my cut edge, because all of my tubes, this one doesn't, but all of my tubes had a perfect edge from it being new. I did go over the top of it and paint the top of it just to give it a nice finished look, and then I cleaned my brush off by going inside and just coating it. You don't have to do that, but it's going to give it a nice finished look when your candles aren't in there. Okay, and then I just set them off to the side to dry, and they'll dry pretty quick. Okay, so that's all I did, and I painted them. So pick the colors that you want and paint all of your tubes and let them dry. You can dry them with a hair dryer too. Super simple, super easy, okay? So that's all I did as far as prepping the tubes. I cut them and I painted them. That was it. Next, you're going to need a little bit of sand. And you can get this at Hobby Lobby, Michael's, all this. I think this was, yeah, $2.49. If it's on sale for 40% off, coupon, whatever, you're going to have $1 in it. And you can reuse this later. You can keep it. But all you need to do is get a little thing of sand. Doesn't matter where you get it from. And I just put mine in baggies. I actually use my press and seal to seal it up, you need to put a little bit of sand in there, just enough to weight it. You want to be able to roll it up and fit it inside the tube, okay? And if you've got an air pocket or whatever, you can take a straight pin and just poke a hole. If you're using a regular baggie, you've got that zip seal, so you can unzip it and get the air out. But you just want to be able to do a nice little tight roll there. You can tape it, not tape it, totally up to you. So that's what's going to get you started, okay? And then you, of course, need some washi tape for decorating. And I've already lost my other roll. There it is. We're going to need that here in a minute. So let's pop over. I needed a way to keep the sandbag in there, because otherwise, if somebody moved it off the table, they pick it up, your sand's going to fall out, of course, right? So we needed a way to keep that in there, and I didn't really want to tape it up and then try to paint it, because then the tape would show on the outside. So I decided to make some little baskets. Plus, I wanted to use little votive candles in the top. Now, if you don't want to use votive candles, you don't have to. What we're going to, if you want to use like some white cotton rope to look like a wick for a firework, or if you want to use any kind of top decoration, this method is still going to work. You're just going to do it a little bit different. When I go to put this one together, we'll show you. So I needed a way for those to sit up on there without falling through. So I needed to do this, keep the sand in and keep the candle at the top. So let's pop over to Design Space and take a look at how we came up with what to do. And I'm just checking chat. Thank you, Jamie. Hey, Pat. Yeah, it just finished storming here. The storms have just been crazy the last couple of days. Yes, these are the battery operated lights. I meant to show you guys that, and let me, there it is. That's why I forgot, because it fell out of my basket. I've got it sitting on my desk to show you guys when we get back over there. So don't let me forget, Susan, and I will show you what I have, what I bought for those. So what I decided to do to hold the candle up and keep the sand in was to create a basket. And so what I did is I measured my tube, and when you measure your tube, we're going to have to pop back over there. You can see what we've got going here, so that's going to kind of give you a little insight as to what we're doing. So let's go back over. So what I did with that basket is I measured my tube, okay? And if you look at it, it is right at 1.75 inches. Guys, you don't want to measure the outside of your tube. You got to measure inside, okay? So you're going to need your flashlight or your lights or something like that, so that you can put that down on the mat and you can stand up. And this is going to be hard to see without a light in there. But you're going to have to look down in there and see what those inside measurements are, okay? So you're going to be looking straight down into that tube. If I had my light one under here, you would be able to see it. I don't know if it's going to pick that up. But anyway, you want to make sure that you're looking down in there and you're getting close to the right measurement. Even if I pick it up a little bit, I don't know if it's going to show. But it's looking on the inside at right under 1.5 inches, okay? The thickness of your tube, if you're not using a Cricut tube or your Cricut tube is different from mine, you're going to have to accommodate for that. And all you're going to do that is you're going to put in a circle. So you're going to get your shape. We're going to get a circle. And you're going to put that circle, I don't even remember what size I ended up with. Test on copy paper, make sure it's going to fit. For mine, it was 1.5 inches is what I had. Okay? And then I wanted enough of an area here for it to give it a good hold, because I am putting sand on there and I am putting that little tea light candle in there. I've got paint all over my fingers. So what I did next was got another shape, and I got a square. Hopefully it's not going to storm. That kind of, and I made mine, I think, 0.25, something like that. 0.30. It doesn't really matter how wide it is. You don't want to go too wide because then it's going to bunch up on you. So as long as you're under, 0.375, I'm going to say, you're okay. 375 or less. And I think I made it 4 inches across, if I'm not mistaken. 375, 3.8, somewhere around in there. So you're going to take that and you're going to duplicate it, and then you're going to rotate one of them 90 degrees. So use your toolbar up here and your rotate tool, and that way you can get all 3 pieces. You're going to select all 3. You're going to use your toolbar again and go to align and center. And then you're going to weld on the bottom right here. And that's going to give you your little basket. You need 2 baskets per tube. Okay. Now, if you're using these indoors, you can skip one of the baskets and you can skip the sand. You don't need it if you don't want to do that. I wanted mine weighted so I could put them out on the patio table and they would be cute out there, and not blow over. Okay. If there were any winds or anything like that. So pretty simple, pretty easy to do. Your decor, of course, is going to be whatever you choose. This is a star, and I just attached a circle right here so that I could run a thread through it. It doesn't come with one. That is image. Oops, you can see there. I don't want to do that. Let me keep it. It is image. If you right click on your layers panel, it will show you. It is this star right here. And it has several layers to it. And all I did was size it down, and I got rid of all of those layers. Just ungrouped it. Don't want that. This is the only piece that I wanted. Okay. So what I did, all of these are hidden. All of those layers are hidden. And I didn't want all of those layers, just that one piece. It's totally up to you how you do yours. If you want the open star, use the open star and attach a small 0.15 circle, 0.10 to 0.15, depending on how big you want your hole to be for your twine or whatever you're using. Okay. I did size mine down to 2.5 inches. I think they're 2.3 on the other. Close, somewhere around 2.5 inches. And that's all I did was size it down and attach that 0.15 circle right there. That was it. And then I went and got a firework. You can get those images. There are tons of them. If you search fireworks in Design Space, you can see all of the different ones. But I wanted something that I could either cut a stencil and use Nouveau drops, which I did not like. If you like that look, you can do it that way. All you got to do is attach it to a square. When it cuts out, then you'll have a stencil. But I just picked one. That one's a cute one too. Just pick one that you like. If you don't like the one that I did right here. And I did 3 different sizes. And cut them. You can cut them out of silver, cut them out of blue. I left both colors in there. I happened to cut all of mine out of the threads vinyl. So super easy, super simple file. Okay. Let's pop back over to the overhead and let's put this thing together. I'm just going to take a second here. I bent, this is the threads vinyl. So you have to be careful when you're working with the threads vinyl. If you bend your backing, some of your pieces will pop off. It's a little different from other vinyls, but I love it. Get that back on there. There we go. All right, let's set that to the side for later. So now I have my tubes. I've already prepared the others because I didn't want to take all of your time. But all you're going to do, I didn't even add score lines. You don't need them, okay? You're just going to fold that like that. And as far as these little votives went, guys, these are from Hobby Lobby, I believe. It might be Michael's. I think this is Hobby Lobby. I think. It's like $2.99 for 2 of them. And you can get them at the Dollar Tree as well. So you get like, I think there's 2 in a pack at the Dollar Tree. I think I didn't use a 40% off on this because it wouldn't let me because it was an everyday price. Okay. So $2.99 and you have your candles. And you can use them for other projects. You don't have to store them with this project. So you're just going to fold your 2 baskets just like that. Just going to press them down. And for the bottom, and you can see I didn't paint the bottom piece here. I did paint the top and kind of finished it off. For the bottom, you're going to want to use some glue. I don't recommend using tape because that sand might be a little bit heavy. There's not a lot of it. It's just enough to weight the tube, and then the 4 together is enough weight to keep it from blowing around on the table. I think I put like 2, maybe 3 ounces. If you have a little food scale or something, you can weigh it. 2 to 3 ounces of sand in each one. Yes, you could, Sue. That would be cute too. So I just put glue on those 4 tabs, and then we're just going to stick those 4 tabs or legs, whatever you want to call them, of that little basket right inside, okay? Then we're going to flip our tube over, and I just used a bamboo skewer. That's it. And you guys probably aren't going to be able to see me do this inside that tube. I'm going to try to light it up for you. I don't know if it's going to work, where I can get that to show and not block the camera. No, it's not going to work. Maybe you can see. But I just went down on the inside and pressed those up against the side while it was sitting on the table. That way if I pushed it down, I didn't push it out. And I just pushed those 4 tabs up against the wall. Okay? That's all I did. I don't want to blind you guys with that. But that's all you have to do. And it's going to hold in there. I'm just going to give it a second to dry. Go in there. You don't want to push it this way because you'll just push it off the bottom. Okay? And it doesn't have to be the exact color. It's just going to hold it. It's going to be on the bottom. Now for the white one, because it is 12 inches long, it's really hard to reach. All I did was push it in just a little bit and put hot glue in there around the inside of this tube. Then I flipped it over and pushed it down and let the hot glue hold it because it was really hard to reach. And it doesn't have to be flush. If that bothers you, cut just a 1.5 inch circle and pop it right on the bottom. Okay? If you want to cover it up and make sure that it looks really pretty, you can do that by cutting, I would say, a 1.6 inch circle for the Cricut tubes. And cover the bottom completely. My hot light, Susan? Yeah, I love that hot light. So once it's gotten a minute to dry, and I just bumped it and moved it. It's not dry yet. It will take it a minute. I did use art glitter glue. You can use hot glue. You can use whatever. But just give it a second to dry. Don't do like I'm doing and go ahead and start. Then you're just going to roll your sand up and you're going to drop it down in. Okay? And on the other tubes, you may have to push the plastic of your baggie down out of the way for your second basket, and that's okay. It doesn't matter. You can just crumple it up down there just so it's out of your way. I'm just going to use my tweezers. Just poke it down. Okay? So now it's out of the way of my basket. I'm going to take this basket. Now, if you're putting in the votive, you want to put that one in opposite. You want to put it in this way with the legs up, okay? If you're going to be using some twine or something to do a wick, anything like that, or you're going to be using, you're going to put it in the same way, but before you do, you're going to punch your hole and put your wick in, tie your knots, etc., before you glue it into place, okay? So a couple of ways to do this, but for the votive, you're going to go upside down. Now, if you have a tea light or something like that, just trim these legs, set it where it is in the position that you want. You'll need to measure it and figure how high you want your candle to stick out above it. And then that's where you'll need to measure how high and just trim off your legs. Super easy, super simple project. Because we want to be spending time with everybody at the barbecue. We don't want to be still working on projects. And I'm just tucking it in right to the edge, okay? And I'm just going to press it down. Like I said, this one's a little bit easier to do than the bottom one, because you can get to it. If you're flipping it over and going the other way, you may have to get your tweezers and go along that side to press those down, because it's going to be closed up, okay? So just use whatever you have, your tools, and just go right along that edge where your legs are and push them down if you flipped it over the other way for a wick. So how easy is that? And you know what? I did it again. I forgot, and I'm glad that's not dry yet, because I knew it wouldn't be because of my sand. I forgot to put, before you do your bottom basket and your top doesn't really matter, but before you do your bottom basket, put your washi tape on there if you're going to use it. I forgot it. And you can follow, you know that the tubes have those little ridges where the paper is wound around it. If you want to follow that to help get your washi tape straight, very super simple, easy to do. Just lay your tape right there on the band where it's going around. I'm going to bring this in. I'm going to have to re-glue that. Glad that didn't stick well. I knew when I put that sand in there before I got it in, it was going to do that. So I'm probably going to have to use hot glue because I already put the top basket in. I'm going to plug in my glue gun so you guys can see. And plus that will help you with the white one to show you how I did the white one. So that was really a blessing. I'm just going to follow that around with our washi tape. Another way to do this, guys, is just to push your tape down as you roll it. Because it's already started at an angle from down here. So you can just roll your tube and push that tape. And that's going to help you get it on there fairly straight, pretty straight. And you're just going to tear it off and go around that top edge, go in and bring it down. Just tuck it in, because this is not going to be seen when you get your candle in there, okay? So just press it down really good. I'm going to stick that sand back in there. I'm going to hold my other one. I'm just going to fold that over now, since I have my other basket in there. There we go. So the way, it's probably not hot enough. Okay, I'm catching up on chat. This is almost hot enough, not quite. Yeah, that would be cute, Sue. So what else is everybody working on this week? So I'm just going to put just a little bit of glue. I'm just going around, and you can see I just put some dots of glue in there. I'm just going to push this right down in there, and it's going to grab into that glue. And then I'm just going to put, I just pushed it in just a little tiny bit right there, and I'm just going to put a little bead there, a little bead on this side. Can kind of smear it out. It's not going to hurt anything. And that's just going to hold that in there as soon as it cools. I didn't want to get it on the bottom there, just on the edges. So that's how you make the tubes. So then we need to arrange them and put them together. And I'm going to do these. And if you have any little misplaces on your paint, you want to hide them, now's the time. But I made these to look vintage, so I am looking for those smudges of paint where it looks like it didn't get coated well. I want mine to show, okay? And that's just, you can get more of that look by using your brush when you're brushing them and wiping off some of the paint in some areas. Just depends on how much of the look you want. I wanted mine to be subtle, but if you want a really good look, brush it out thin in a lot more places. Working on cards. And an Afghan. So now I have all 4 of my tubes. They're all put together the same way. And I want to do red, white, blue, and then I'll put the silver on the front, which is actually the back for me here, because I'm looking to see where I need to do my next step. Now you can use double-sided tape. I'm using tearing tape here, or you can use the hot glue. And I'm just looking, and right about on this red star right here, just gonna go in and go straight down and tear that off. Okay, and that's going to stick to that white tube right there. And just play with it, look at it, look where it's sticking, and then right here on this one. They're not far apart. Just going to do some tearing tape right there. So now that will stick to the white one. And then that silver one will stick to that. Got that one a little bit high. Oops. Forgot that. Watch and make sure you don't get it too high. I can pull this off and tear it back. Because this is just to hold it temporary anyway. And I didn't like the way some of the hot glue squished out in between and I could see it on the other one. So that's why I'm using the tape. So now I need to go right here on this white one. I'm just going to tear that off. Just put a strip right there. So this sticks here, this sticks here, here. I want that to show right there. Give me a little bit of smudging. Got them all like I want them. So this one's going to go right about here. And it's the same thing. It depends on what you're using. If you're using hot glue, you can go ahead and stick them. But you're going to need to run 2 beads pretty close together. And it doesn't even have to be straight. Like I said, it's just going to hold these. And I got this one a little too tall, so I'm going to pick some of that off. You don't want that sticky being in the way and showing. It will come off. And I did have Snap Crackle Pop ready to put on these, and I tried it. And I just didn't care for it. But if you want to put Snap Crackle Pop on the back of these, you could do that. it would look, it looks cute, but it wasn't the look I was going for. So there we go. That's going to be hid. That's going to be hid. Just making sure that all of my tape is going to be hid. And then we're just going to peel off the paper backing. None on the silver one, because we're sticking the silver one to everything else. You guys can still see me here. These are a little bit long, so I may get out of camera occasionally. Just bear with me. I'll get back in there. Well, maybe. There we go. Don't you dare do that and stick to my desk. They are much more stable once they're put together. So now I'm going to hold that white one there, and I'm going to bring that blue one in. Oops. You know what? I almost did that backwards. I want the red on this side. I'll bring that red in there. Which means this one's too tall now. I almost messed up. Make sure you're putting your tape in the right spot for the position. And putting these opposite of the way I did the other one. Just fold it over. I'm going to stick that one there. I'm going to bring this in. And there we go. Just stick them all together, just like that. And now you shouldn't see any of your tape. I can see just a tiny bit of it, but I'm just going to roll it a little. There we go. And if you have, you can take a Copic marker. If you can see any of that, you can take a bamboo skewer, whatever, and push it down in there just so you can't see it. That Liquitex paint is pretty good. I'll probably just use some and take my brush and go in there and just touch that up. If it bothers you. If it doesn't, then don't worry about it. So then you need a piece of twine. And all I did was cut a big length. I want to go around a couple of times. You can always trim it off if you've got too much. So just give yourself enough to work with. And I just got it placed. And grew a third hand and tied my knot. Oh, you're very welcome, Vicki. So now I just tied the knot, tied it around, and now I'm taking this long length. I just left a little bit on this side, okay? And then I'm just going to wrap it around 2, maybe 3 times, depends on what you want. And then I just brought it back up in around that one. I'm going to flip this over so you guys can see. And then I just tied another knot. Just tied it off tight, okay? Super easy, super simple. And I got a little much, but that's okay. Oops. My keyboard fell on the floor. And if you want this to make sure it stays in a certain spot, you can certainly do a dab of hot glue on there. I didn't find the need for it. Don't cut this one off yet. You need your stars, okay? The stars, they've got those cuts in them. I've already bent the others. And you're going to bend each point, okay? Just going to squish it. each point. Just give it a good squish. That's going to give it the dimension. And then after you've squished all 5 points, then you want to bring 2 points together. Okay? I'm just going to give them a squeeze, just like that. All right? And then I'm just going to go over to the next side and do the same thing. I'm going to squeeze those 2 points together. And then on this side, give them a little squeeze. You may have to coax that little point right there. You don't want to give it a crisp crease right there. You're just squeezing it. And this is Cricut cardstock, but that's what's going to give it that dimension. All right. Now I've already done these, and decide if you want yours. I wanted the red, white, blue, but I wanted the red in the front. Okay, so I'm going to start with my blue one, and I'm just going to fold that twine in half so I don't have to fight with the end. I'm just going to hold it right there and pull it right through the hole with my tweezers. And I wanted this one just to be down just a little bit from it. And then I'm tying a knot. You don't need a big knot unless somebody's going to be playing with this. It should be fine. I don't want that knot there though. Right. So if that happened to anybody else, the knot never goes where you want it to. Pull it down some. There we go. And I'm not tying that real tight. I want the knot just to stop it. I don't want it to pull through. I just want it to stop the star. And then I'm just going to thread on my second one. And I'm going to bring that one in and let it hang just right below that one. And again, I'm just going to tie another small knot. Kind of making a little chain of stars. Just enough to keep it from falling all the way down, but giving it that little accent. And that one pulled through. I'm going to push it back up. And I have a cure for that. A little dab of art glitter glue on there will keep it in place. It's stopped up. So I'm just going to pull that away from that knot, and I'm just going to dab it with just a touch of hot glue right there, just so it sticks on the front of that knot and it doesn't pull through. I've tightened it a little too much. And then bring this one up. I'm going to do the same thing. I think this hole is a little bit too big, but that's okay. This works. Just do a little dab of hot glue on there. It'll hold. Let that cool. And then we're going to do the third star. I think I did. I think I bumped that hole up for the larger jute, and then I went with the twine. That's exactly what I did. I forgot to take it back down. So if you guys are using small twine like this, detach that hole, because I didn't do anything but attach it. Just detach the hole and change it to 0.10. I think it's at 0.15. You might even get away with a 0.062. Yeah, you can buy just the cheap acrylic paints, the little apple barrel. I think they're, what, 50 cents at Walmart? Just do thin coats and don't try to coat it all at once. If you're using the thick globby paints like the ones I used, then you can do a thicker coat on it. You just don't want it to get too wet. So now I'm just bringing this up and doing that third knot right where my stars will line up. There's always more than one way to skin a cat. I can't believe that I didn't change that knot. I mean that hole for my knot. Now, if your hole is smaller, a second knot right here will end this one. But because I'm using hot glue because I left my hole too big on my star, I'm not even going to tie the second knot. I'm just going to put just a little dab of glue on that knot and just hold it onto the star right there. Get rid of the glue hair. And then I'm just going to trim off that. And to keep my twine from unraveling, just a little drip of art glitter glue and twist it on both of those. And that'll keep that from unraveling. How cute is that? I just love that. I just love it. And then you're just going to switch on your votives and you're going to drop them right in top of each of the tubes to sit right in that basket. And some of them may be a little bit tight, like this one. Don't know why it does that. That's the tubes themselves. But you can work it and get it in there. Okay? I don't know why that particular one is tight, but it was. It's the only one I've had that was that hard to press in. How cute is that? That's got to go down a little bit further. What? Oh, I see what it is. I had that tape in the way. I broke a leg. That tape got me. It's going to be all right. Oh, I know what it is. I had to recut one of those, and I think I used a different cardstock. Make sure you use the 80-pound Cricut cardstock. You don't want anything really thick, because that will hinder it. How cute! So that gives you something to do with all of your Cricut tubes, getting rid of those. If you don't have any on hand, start saving them. You never know what you can do with these things. I had like about 10 of them. So I made 2 sets. Now I want to add some fireworks. And for those of you who haven't worked with the Threads vinyl, it is a little more difficult to work with than your 651s and your permanents and your outdoors and your indoors. If you're careful and work with it, you can do it. So you're just going to get your vinyl started and just wiggle it. And you can see I've got one right there that doesn't want to stay down. I'm just going to take my tweezers and push it right through to the back. And then you're going to rotate and you're start pulling this way so that you can break those adhesive lines. Instead of pulling it all in one direction, you want to make sure that you're breaking your adhesive lines and working it around. Okay? And then it is just that easy to weed if you play with it and rotate it and work it around. I'm going to see if I can get this where you guys can see it because of the reflection. Isn't that pretty? I just love that. Now you can use your Cricut transfer tapes. You can use paper tapes. For painted surfaces like paper, because this is paper, we have to remember, I am using a paper tape. This is the Conform tape. the R tape from Brilliant Vinyl. Comes in different widths and sizes, and it's perfect for this kind of thing. It's just a paper tape, and if you ever do the wet application method, I lost a piece of my firework here, but we're going to live with it. If you do the wet method ever, you'll need this tape anyway. So, let's get another one for this one. Yeah, it's a little big, but that's okay. So, same thing, just doesn't matter if you want to use the Cricut, you can, but I'm going to suggest, and this is one of the times that you will hear me say, because I don't usually detack mine, if you're going to be using your Cricut transfer tape and putting it onto the paper, especially if you didn't let these sit and cure and you're rushing, you want to detack this on your jeans or a towel or something before you stick it on this type of a surface. And then I'm not even going to burnish, guys. I'm just going to rot this around, and I'm just bending this backing is all I'm doing, and pushing it down to stick. This, I mean, this stuff has the tack almost of washi tape, so it's not real sticky, but this will stick to it fairly easily, and you just need to work with it and get it on there. Just bending and pushing down just to get it to pop off. And I have everything here, right here. So I'm going to go, just going to plop that right there. Just random. I'm just picking a spot. And then I'm just going to pull it off just like we normally do. And it's on there. Oops, got one more piece. That goes right there. There we go. I lost my piece right here. I'll have to find it. It's here somewhere. It's probably stuck to my desk. And then I've got a couple of smaller ones in here. Same thing. You're just going to rock that backing, and I'm just pinching it and pushing it down. Just enough to stick. Don't even have to burnish. This one's the teeny tiny one. Might want to burnish it just a little bit. That little fella right there didn't want to cooperate. I'm just going to hang on to him. Okay. And then I think I'm going to stick this one right here. And you don't have to use all of these. You can use one, two, none. Oh, there he is. One little piece goes right. Nope, goes right here. And then I'm going to put this big one right here. I don't think I'm going to use the other one. I might put it. There goes my hand cramping up again. Stick down there. My tape isn't quite wide enough for this one, so it wants to give me a little bit of a problem, but we're going to work it out. There we go. Oh yeah, got it. And let's just pop that one right there. because this isn't very sticky. You can see it's not sticky hardly at all. You'll want to make sure you go back and press them down. I have one more. Do I want to use that? I don't think I do. I think I want to just leave it like that. I might take that one off and put this bigger one there. And I'm not going to make you guys sit here and watch me pick this off, but you can see that I can get this right off with my tweezers because it is dry and I just put it on. Now tomorrow I may not be able to pick it off, but I'm going to replace this with my bigger one. Maybe I will. It's just so you guys can see the finished. I did the same thing with the Snap Crackle Pop. I peeled it right off and I used, it wasn't the threads, I used Cricut Permanent. And it still picked right off. Now you won't be able to do it again, like I said, tomorrow. It won't pick off that easy. But because it's fresh and I just put it down, it's going to pop off. Come off of there. Now I got pieces everywhere. They're all over. I think I may cut some of these. No, I'm not. That's just too fine. I was thinking about doing my nails. Put these on there. And we're just going to work it around. Just push it down. Ah, that one cut too deep. Maybe that's why I was having an issue a while ago. Not that it was my tape was too small. Maybe it cut too deep. I cut into my backing. If you cut into your backing and your backing is trying to peel with it, you need less pressure. And I did cut this on more pressure because I had a dull blade. The other one was a little too small, so you may not want to do the small one. I only cut 3, I think, for mine. Just press it down. Cute. Love, love, love. I didn't like the Nuvo drops because I smushed them, but I do like the threads. That's so pretty, guys. I wish the camera would pick that up, how pretty that is. If you have not tried the threads, you really, really need to get a roll of that. Yeah, the red would be, Jamie, but I went with a vintage look, and I put it next to it, and it was too bright. That's why I went with the silver. So just look at it when you're doing yours and pick the one that looks the best with your paint choices. The tape, which... Vicki, this is our Conform tape. It's our tape from Brilliant Vinyl. It's called our tape. And it's in the transfer tape section on Brilliant Vinyl. And it comes in different widths. This is the 2-inch. I use the 2-inch more than I think it comes in 2, 4, 6. And it may even come in an 8-inch wide. It's a paper tape. It's called Conform. It's the R tape. I don't know if you can... Right here. R tape. Let me see. I can show it to you guys. Let's... Gonna need a window there, April. Let's grab a window. I forget that that's the desktop app and I can't search on the desktop app anymore. Okay. There's a link down below for Brilliant Vinyl. If you shop Brilliant Vinyl or any of my links, I will earn a small commission, and that helps support everything, bring you videos, files, etc., and I greatly appreciate it. Right here, Vicki, if you go over to adhesive and drop down to transfer tapes, right here you see the blue grid medium tack. This is your normal everyday. Your red grip high tack is for things like, you could use it for the threads and holographics and stuff like that. And then you've got your R tape right here. The Easy PSV is sort of like Aura tape. It's Caesar's brand. In case some of you didn't know, Caesar does do a adhesive vinyl as well as iron-on, and it's called Easy PSV. But here's your R tape right here. And yeah, the 2-inch 100-yard roll is like $10, and I can tell you that this roll is what I bought, and I'm still using it, and I've had it for, I think, 2 years. So it lasts a long time. You can reuse it. You can reuse this stuff, except when you do wet method. I don't keep mine from wet method. Okay, do we have any other questions, guys? Any design space questions? Anything that you're having issues with? You guys got so quiet. I hope I didn't lose anybody there. There we go. Or either my chat got stuck. There it is. My chat got stuck. Okay. All right, guys, if nobody has any other questions, let's see what you do with yours. Break out those washi tapes and paints. Add something to it. We still used our Cricut. We used our Cricut to make our baskets. We used our Cricut to make our decorations, our stars, and our vinyl. So let's add some other stuff in there. Let's use our thinking caps. See what you guys can do with them. Yeah, and the kids can help with these too, Marianne. The kids love to paint these kind of things. So, I mean, let them sit out on the porch with some newspaper spread out, or some craft paper that, you know what I'm talking about, the freezer paper, craft paper stuff. And let them go to town. Paint up the tubes and stuff for you. All right, you guys have a wonderful night. I will catch you on Friday. Remember, it's Freebie Friday, and we will be on Facebook, not YouTube, in the Cricut Maker Projects group. So if you're not a member of that group, make sure that you hop over there and join so that you can see the live there on Friday at 7 p.m. Yep, they're coming up, Susan. The Christmas in July. I think I mentioned it Monday. For those of you who weren't here, Christmas in July, the 12 days of Christmas. I'm going to try. I'm not promising. I know I will have at least 24, but I'm shooting for 36 files. I made it last year. I'm going to try it again this year. So, and that starts on July 6th and will run to the 18th. 3 files per day. See you guys on Friday. Have a good one. Thank you, moderators. Thank you, supporters. I greatly appreciate you all.